I'm sure we'll have some discussion from briefing. We just to let everyone know that we are live on YouTube now, so can we just have some order? Can we just have some order, please? Order, please. We are live now. So I'd just like to welcome everyone to the Community Environment and Service Committee, 15th of November. We are going to start. We've got 4 speakers to public forum. So I'd just like to invite the first speaker, Scott Freeman, who's going to talk about the Paparoa Predator-Free project. Thanks, Scott. Yes. Sorry.
Someone else wants leave.
Do you want to switch over, Joe, to someone else just to skip ahead?
No, here we go.
Oh, you got it?
We're ready to go.
Hi, I'm Scott Freeman. I'm with the Connect Trust in Westport. It's a new trust. It's called Karaturi Nature, Environment and Communities Trust, and we've got a few projects on the go. This is one of them. So I'm just going to.
Sorry, give me just pulling it up. There we go.
And it's a Paparoa Predator-Free project, environmental project, and I'm just going to give you a brief overview so you hope to know what's going on and hear about it. You can have some insight. So basically, quickly whiz through why Predator-Free 2050, why Paparoa, is it feasible, what are the benefits, and next steps. Why Predator-Free 2050? Invasive predators are one of the major concerns, major factors in declining New Zealand Indigenous fauna. And 2016, the New Zealand government announced a national goal to make New Zealand predator-free by 2050. It's a national government policy. That was to remove rats, mustards, and possums from mainland New Zealand over a period of time. And the key thing around that is eradication and not suppression. So most work that's done in New Zealand today is suppression, where you knock the predators down to low numbers, but then they come back again. So you've got to go back and control them again. Eradication is to remove all those predators from an area and then defend the boundaries. There's some work going on presently in South Westland under a company called Zip, doing just this work, over 100,000 hectares. And that's moving on quite well at the moment. This project would roll off the work that's going on down there. And the program just runs, really off successes on offshore islands, which they successfully eradicated animals, and the recovery of the indigenous fauna has been substantial. Why Paparoa? Paparoa is a really interesting site in that it's about 230,000 hectares. The area itself is boundaries, has the Tasman Sea, obviously. There's two very large rivers, the Bulla and the Grey, and the smaller Ngangahua and the Upper Grey. These areas can act as boundaries to reinvasion, and complementing those is pastoral farmland, also acts as good boundaries to many of these species as well. The site has really high biodiversity values. It's over 60 endangered and active species. And a real huge range of ecosystem types, from limestone to mountaintops to beach forests, etc., and estuaries. And it's been identified by Predator-Free 2050, which is an organisation which helps run this stuff, as a priority site on New Zealand mainland. Is it feasible? As I said, the idea is to remove rats, goats, and potentially goats as well from this area. It's based on methods in South Westland, which have been proven at the moment. It includes probably 3 main methods: aerial tenading and backcountry, and the idea is that you do it once and again. Base stations in rural areas and trapping in urban areas, because about 6 small urban areas of the site. It's considered achievable for the people I've spoken to involved in this program. The present rate of technology development is rapidly coming along, and similar work on the West Coast. So new technology includes artificial intelligence identification of cameras and traps, eDNA, which is environmental DNA, where you can see what species there are, measuring in waterways, from measuring the DNA in waterways, and self-reporting and dispensing traps and bait stations, so you can set them up and they'll tell you when they've caught something and you can do something about it, among other things. Is it feasible? We're approaching this as a collaborative project with the wider community. There's a whole bunch of communities this area covers. Includes, directly or indirectly, 50% of the West Coast population live in and around the site. We've already been speaking to a lot of people, a lot of communities from Greymouth to Westport, and in the Grey Valley. There's been quite a lot of support. Another benefit for this site is that the community are familiar with some of these methods that we're proposing to use. At other sites like Beansmanship, for example, they've tried to put something like this in place, but found that because people aren't used to having some aerial work in their backyards, they're really anti it. And there is an element of that here too, but as I said, we do this, it works, we can stop doing aerial technology in the backcountry, which is a real benefit for a lot of people in the community as well. And we get benefits of the improved indigenous species. And also, the landowners, farmers, are used to having ground control work through the OSPI program on their properties anyway. So, the people I've spoken to suggest it's not going to be a major barrier. And also, so at this stage, the project is about creating a locally supported project that we can present to potential funders. So the idea is that when some funds come along into the country or money comes available, looking for some sites, that's happened in the past, sites to do some work like this, we can say, hey, we're ready to go, we've done the background work, communities behind this, give it to us. And potential funding sources include DOC and OSPI contributions to the existing control program in Canberra's, predator-free 2050 program, philanthropy, national and international, some kind of work done around that, carbon credits, ungulated and possum control, biodiversity credits, the government's presently working on a program for that at the moment, support from local communities and businesses, support from international nature funding bodies, and international visitor levy, which is just coming back online after being off with COVID. Sorry, this is quite quick, I've only got a short amount of time to get this across to you.
You're doing great.
And one of the benefits, there's a whole range of benefits. Obviously, the area can become TB free if you remove possums from the area. Obviously, protecting native flora and fauna, which is a primary goal. Supporting tourism. Tourists will see this area which has all the species back in there and thriving. Creating local jobs. It's going to require quite a lot of manpower, woman power, to get this job done. Ending landscape scale predator, landscape scale technology use. Climate change benefit with better carbon sequestration in forests, removal of property nuisance for people that live in the area around rats and things, and obviously a step towards the predator-free 2050 national program. And I think this is really nice because it's about appreciating people's different motivations and interests, but having a project like this and picking those up from across the community. And so the next steps, present time, we've started a consultation. We've spoken to probably a lot of people from local organisations and community groups to national organisations involved in this work, and there's been a lot of support at this point, so we're going to move on. And the next idea is to develop a vision and discussion document with the community. And so we've got about 8 or 9 people involved in that vision group now. We're going to use a document to put out to the wider community with vision and goals and methods to get some broader feedback. So we really want to take the community along with this project right from the start and not give it to them, but have them involved in it as much as we can. And we've obviously got to complete this feasibility study in the next 12 months to show that it's feasible at a number of levels. And this supports we've got at the moment, including anywhere in the regional council and OSPI, etc. That's it. So any questions?
Councillor West.
What has there been surveys done on like the percentage increase in rats and mice after a beach mast?
Yeah, well, there's lots of work done on that, and that's, you know, so that predator control's often timed around, you know, the rapid increase in rats and then stoats after that, after beach mast events. So a lot of timing around the predator control program is run around that. Yeah, but they tend to, you knock them back and then next beach mast comes.
Further questions?
I can distribute this to the councillors if you
I
like.
was just going to ask if we could distribute that. Thank you. If you'd like to get that to me or Gina, and we'll get that.
I've already got it, so I can send it out. Yep,
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Thanks very much for your time. Great.
Thanks for the presentation. Thank you. Okay. Next we have the Community Hub Group, and I'll let you introduce yourselves and the roles that you play within the group. So the 10 minutes.
Kia ora koutou. I'm Lorraine Scanlon, manager at Home Builders West Coast Trust.
Kia ora koutou, marae Casey Tukunua. Kia ora koutou, Mary Rose Lachlan Tukunua. I am the manager of Buller Reef.
And we're here representing the Buller Cultural Community Group, and
Kia ora, I'm Rick Barry and I'm working alongside the Cultural and Community Working Group or Hub and the council, so just helping the project along.
so we're here today to share the information that we, on our journey so far. We presented to councillors in June 2021, and we do acknowledge it was a different group of councillors. So we're at the point in time now where it's really important to share our journey and to give you the information of where we're up to with the Buller Cultural and Community Hub, and to seek your input, and also to take it out to the community and let the community know that our vision for this community is to have a purpose-built venue where people, children, families, elderly, disabled can come and have their needs met. So it's a gateway for all services, and people can walk in one gate or in one door, and all of those people will be available and be in the one venue. And that's our hope and our aim, that we can serve the people in our district. So while it would be based in Westport, we would still have people coming in from Reefton, Karamea and Northern Buller to visit our hub, and also we would have outreach services out into those areas. We've got the benefits to a community hub are twofold, and one is for the community, our people. It's where they can go to have welfare needs, education needs, health needs, diversity, disabled needs, and have those needs met. The other one is for the benefit of the NGOs who are working together in collaboration, and therefore their overheads will be reduced, their maintenance will be reduced, everything can be on a shared basis.
Yes. So I think for what, when we planned this back in 2021, it was a smaller model. It was, we had, our vision wasn't as big as it is now. Then after the flooding and the agencies pulled together, and there was 5 agencies involved in the flood recovery hub, it proved to us that actually for our agencies it was very, very beneficial on having those relationships built. It was around our teams building relationships together, being able to share our resources. We saw how it could be bigger and better. So now our vision is, yes, it will be based in Westport. However, because we have several contracts that are Buller-wide, and so does Home Builders, and so do all the other organisations that will come in it. With the funding that we will reduce in our overheads, it will give us the opportunity to make those outreach areas, to be able to set up an outreach area in Reefton or in Karamea or down in Punakaiki, where together as a collaboration we can share the resources in that way, so we can see that it'll go bigger and wider in the Buller. And one of the other things is funding. We will be a collaborative organisation, so we will have really good, strong backing to get contracts that will support the Bullabita. Because at the moment, if I apply for a contract, I'm applying it just as Bullaree. Sometimes that's not enough. They want to know that we're in collaboration with other organisations, and this will prove that we are. So for me, it's about our one-stop shop. A person walks in our door, they will be supported no matter what it is. And we all know that when somebody comes in, they'll start talking about their story. What they've come in for is only a little bit of their story. This is our opportunity to be able to support them on the rest of the journey, instead of them having to go into 5 different doors. They'll just have to come into one, and then we can support them through that.
And
So, yeah.
So we know that the hub concept worked. We know now that it's working in other places in the country, and we know now that it's going to be built, and the areas will build on that concept. We know that it works better in rural areas because it brings rural organisations and people together. And over the past 12 months at least, we've all been working together on a feasibility study, which is due to be completed at the end of December.
Yes, so I mean, hopefully you've all had seen the justification and the summary document. If you haven't, I can leave them here, but they look a bit like that, so hopefully you've had a chance to have a browse at those. The feasibility study itself was started in March by a company called Feldspar Associates. They're a specialist in NGOs and non-profit organisations that are trying to establish a wraparound service or an organisation similar to what the NGOs in our community were after. And so they were brought on board, and as part of that, Feldspar needed some local support. That's where I've come on board. So that's sort of the background there. The feasibility study, includes a strategic brief, development, selecting a preferred site, and making recommendations on the operating framework, which is a big one, and that's including forming a trust. So at the end of the feasibility study, which as Lorraine has pointed out, is not due to be finished until the end of December, we'll have all of those main key questions answered, and the next phase will be forming the trust. And so once that trust is formed, established, they'll take the project forward into the next phase. I know there's been some questions around funding and why are we seeking funding now for the next phase? Well, that's because we want to keep some momentum going. So this project has got some really good backing. There's lots of examples, as Lorraine and Mary Rose have said, that are working around New Zealand. I've put some examples in an email that was sent out. There's one at the youth hub in Christchurch that's very, very similar. It's well worth looking at. So, if you get a chance, have a look at that. Other than that, I mean, the project itself has just been a good team effort, and we're still working away. And like I say, the end result from the feasibility study will be the end of December. Happy to take questions, I think. Yeah.
To start with from me, for people in the public or ones at the table, how will they be able to see, find out more information? Like, I have circulated these documents, but I believe that.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jo. So thank you to the Buller District Council comms team, Mara, and we're going to be launching a web page on Friday this week, hopefully, and that will include these documents, and also we'll be building on that until the trust is formed. So once the trust is formed, they'll probably move away from the council and develop their own website, but in the interim, so that we can get the information out to the wider public, we're going to launch off the Buller District Council as a host, because this has had council support right from the start, and we really appreciate that support.
Absolutely.
Any questions? Councillor Reedy?
Through the chair. Very quickly, thank you very much for those. I read them last night. I just noticed there was reference to an August 23 as well, but we'll follow up on that later. But the question I've got is REAP. At the moment, we've got the building on
Yes, we have.
down there, I don't know if it's owned by REIT or rented, but we've also got the recently purchased building for home builders in Russell Street.
Yes.
But now we're looking at the purchase of another building. So, and that we're all going to be in this new building. So what's the?
So for me, for Bullery, we own the building but not the land. We have outgrown our building anyway. And we have other purposes and projects that will be put into that building. They might be a space for youth. It might, you know, we've got other plans for it. We still will definitely be under our umbrella. Not our core service, but it'll be under our umbrella and it'll still be used.
And that's the same for home builders. They would use that house and that land for other purposes. Our board of trustees will use that or keep that, maintain it and use it.
Yes. And as we all know, it's very hard to get office space and things like that in Westport at the moment anyway. So our board has got ideas for the building and plans and we're the same.
Any further questions? Councillor?
Linda may have had her hand up, she's just on screen.
Oh, sorry, no.
So she.
Councillor Webb?
No. Okay.
Just one thing I will add, so the concept that's sort of maybe being developed, it's early stages yet, is a village type design so that it's transportable buildings that, you know, we all know that Westport's got some flood issues, so we decided as a group through these studies that Westport was the place that this should be built, not out of Westport, not on higher ground, because the vulnerable people are here, the people that need these services. So the type of establishment or type of facility this will be able to be built onto or transported away. So that's one of the concepts that's being developed at the moment, which will go into the new concept design phase, is making it flood resilient and also transportable potentially and able to be built onto. So it's not just one big establishment that we're spending a heap of money on that's maybe not fit for purpose. It'll be thought about. It'll be something that's really well landscaped, so that the visitors can come in. There'll be gardens. There'll be areas for, you know, to be very, very much accessible for all people with any disabilities at all. So that's one of the big drivers here, is to make this thing really acceptable and enhance it for everybody. So it's for the whole community.
In a welcoming space.
Being part of Te Hau Karatiri, at the present time, our organisation, we are working out of 3 buildings. We do not have enough space anywhere in town to house what we require our people. And this has been for now, I think, 2 to 3 years. Yeah, and we are now growing and there's nowhere to put us. Really, we have tried, but at the present time, so logistically, it becomes quite a nightmare when you're trying to get a full team together in one place. And so that's where we are standing at the moment as Te Hau. We have no home, and we definitely need somewhere to put our feet.
Thank you very much for coming and giving this presentation, and if anyone hasn't got the material I've circulated, please get back to me, and we look forward to seeing everything hosted onto the website. So for the public, certainly if you look next week, that should be online. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have our next speaker, Patricia Grant.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Patricia Grant. Mine is not through your thing. I just want to know a whole lot of stuff, and because we only hear through the paper, mine is about the community hub. And no, it was in the paper the other night, and it's done through Joe Howard. Not the same thing?
Yes, it is. It's exactly the same thing.
Well, I'm not being awful, but when you read the paper and, right, I'll just ask my questions. Mine is, why do we need a community hub for a start? Where is the community hub going to be located? What will the community hub do for Westport? How many hours of the day and night is this going to be open? And what is the cost to the ratepayers? Who is going to be running the community hub? Why is the community hub getting money from Three Waters funding? And they've already spent 150,000 and now wanting another 150. Yeah, when we do have other groups that people can go to, as Salvation Army, they have a thing on a Thursday morning, St John's have one, church, and there are lots of other clubs and associations that people could go and see. I just think when somebody puts something in the paper and they don't explain what they're actually talking about, and I've asked a lot of people in the last 3 weeks and nobody knew what the community hub was about or anything about it and why it was happening or if it was happening. So you need to be more transparent and not the opposite, because people can't afford things now, and all the money that is being spent on, I'm not being awful, on so-called frivolous things, is hurting other people really. Yeah, it's just hurting some of the public, and they need to know. And that's all I've got. You can ask me anything.
Patricia, we can't answer your questions in this forum. That's not but we will do a follow-up with you. But have councillors got any questions that they would like to ask of Patricia?
Just ask, so you heard the presentation from the
yes, see, I didn't realise those two were connected, so yeah. There you go. And that's where things need to be explained. I volunteer at St Vinny's, and I do a lot of other voluntary work, and I used to do at the high school, which I'm going to be going back and doing again next year because I'm a qualified baker. And yeah.
Councillor Farlett?
Can I just ask, where do you think the $150,000 that was put towards the community project?
It was in the paper there.
Yeah, no, sorry, where do you think?
It said Three Waters.
Where do you think that money's come from?
The government.
Okay.
It didn't come from council, did it?
No.
Thank you. Yeah. And what say this new government decides that they're not going to go through with Three Waters? Will we have to pay that 150,000 or 200,000 back to, well, that's it. And nobody knows these things. So I think transparency needs to be.
How do you think we can share that with people? How do you think it could be?
Well, a lot of older people actually still get the newspaper, and I'm one of them. A lot of them don't have Facebook and don't know how to use it. So, and the odd flyer, you can do a cheap flyer, not a glossy one. You don't have to go all out, and just, you know, give people a bit of hands up and respect, you know, that they do have a brain and they're not that stupid. Because, yeah, I pay over 4,000 in rates for one property, and I think for what I pay for it, I get virtually nothing.
Any further councillor questions? Let's just clarify just one point. It was a misprint in the paper. I am not the lead on the steering group. I was actually voted by the council to be the council representative on the group, so I do not play a lead role, but we'll answer that.
Yes, instead of being, yeah.
So I've noted all your questions, and after this meeting, we'll actually discuss the answers to the public forum, and we'll give you a response.
Thank you.
Move on to our next public forum, which is Kevin Smith. Welcome, Kevin.
Hope you don't mind if I sit down. I should be a bit louder. Afternoon all, Chair, Mayor, councillors, the public. My name's Kevin Smith. I would like to speak today on the 9th of December and the events of the 9th of December. We've started seeing advertising for the Christmas parade, and I've seen correspondence from the Mayor to Rotary regards the Christmas parade and a little bit of the 150th celebration, 150th birthday for Westport. I don't intend to cover the Rotary side of things, the parade. I believe that's pretty well under control and in hand. What I am concerned about is the involvement and the leadership of the birthday celebrations, the 150th. I didn't get much confidence from the Rotary side of things. And dare I say it, I'm not hearing much from the historical societies either. So I just think if we are going to have 150th, we need to sort of up our game and move things along. And I'm hoping the BDC staff, councillors can assist there. If it's the public, well and good. We can organise something from the public's side of things. But I'd like to do a little bit of history, if I could, as to why 2023 is so important this year. 7 weeks left of this year. The Rotary did say that the celebrations could be spread over a period, which is true, I guess. It would have been nice to have started earlier in the year, because as I'll get to soon, 2023 is the important year. We've still got time. The 9th of December is going to be a perfect time for it. We're going to have the crowds. We're going to have a Christmas parade. It'll be a good time to have a birthday to boot. But as I say, I'd like to see the two separate to a point. I don't see Rotary organising both. They're pretty well involved with the floats, security on the day, closing the roads, etc. I see the birthday party being probably more remote, maybe at the MBS Theatre, I'd like to suggest, somewhere like that, where we've got the crowds, we've got the celebration going on, hopefully the street stalls and things, and we can make an event out of it. And at least in years to come, we can look back and say, well, we had a 150th birthday. I mentioned the date, 1873. A little bit of a history lesson. I'm not a historian, but what I've learned is Westport started off in the mid-1860s. Started off as a gold town, servicing the gold boom, so to speak. They were down the beach, down where the lagoon currently is, perched on Gladstone Street, and they endured hardships with the sea, the river. They didn't have much else available to them. This was all forest. So they were really just stuck down there. The routes, transport routes along the beach to the north, along the beach to the south. It worked out very well. They had a little bit of a port. They had the punts going across, the ferries. But by 1869, 1870, they started getting flooding and having some real problems. So they moved to what I'd call the Mark 1.5 Westport. They went from the pioneer town to... They started moving buildings off Gladstone Street and they moved them to where Bright and Cobden are now. So they moved a short distance. This is 1871, 1872. Now we get into 1873, the big year. Everything happened in 1873. They managed to get a track down Palmerston Street. So now they could move from their temporary locations, Mark 1, Mark 1.5 townships. They could move to Westport proper, which is Coal Town Westport.
Kevin, you've got one more minute. Do you want to leave some room for questions?
Yeah, I'll speed up. So 1873, April, it was gazetted, the borough of Westport. The elections were held. The first borough council meeting was held August the 20th, 1873. And the celebrations in previous years have been held, 1928, 1933, 1973 for the centenary. So it makes sense if we're going to have a birthday to have it 2023.
I mean, about me, fine, sorry. Demoted, sorry.
What kind of budgets do you think council should throw at this money? Just interested.
I wasn't talking about a budget, I'm afraid. I think there was the stumbling point before with the Rotary. I would like to see, I'm approaching council now for council involvement, but I don't see money being required as such. It's more resources. See, I don't know. I do know that Rotary are stuck for money. They sort of asked and didn't get too far. It's a celebration, and from my point of view, like if we were involved from the community, what would we be spending our money on? I don't know.
What are you asking us to spend your money on? What are you asking council to spend the money on? I guess. I mean, there's not much of the community doing it.
Well, if I was to suggest to the councillors, how to celebrate a birthday party, I'm not too sure how to go about it. I don't have anything in mind like the centenary. The centenary in 1973, people dressed up for a week, period costumes and everything else. All I'm suggesting is on the 9th of December, we have a parade, we have the people. All we need is an area like historic photographs, some mannequins made up. I'm thinking NBS staff, perhaps, museum staff, perhaps, library staff, whatever staff can be available just to help out. And I know there's a problem with Coal Town as far as access goes, but the displays have to be accessible still, to be removed. Perhaps set up a display in the foyer at the NBS.
Cut you short, Kevin, but there may be some conversations we can carry around.
Yeah, sorry, but I was asked this officer.
We'll discuss it in public forum and get back to you, and it may involve a further discussion.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming to
Thanks
speak to us.
Sorry to go on.
Okay, you're welcome.
Am I allowed to say a quick thing?
No, I'm sorry. It's not part.
Of our town. I was in the 1973.
I'm sorry, it's just part of the procedures of a meeting. It's only councillors that can ask questions or make comments to public forum. I'm sorry, but outside the meeting, maybe you want to come and see me. Yeah, I'm happy to talk to you. We'll just move now on to our meeting, and we'll officially open it at 3:08 and call for apologies. I have one from Councillor Basher and one from Ned Tofree. And I've had the CEO, Steve Given, just expressed that he'll be arriving late. Any further? Somebody like to move those? And seconder? Yeah. So that all in favour? Just move on to members' interest. I'll just start with declaring I've got one with Hutakua Trust and the Westport Men's Shed and Connect, and the gender items are 6:13, 6:15, 7:09 and 8:6.
Thank you.
So I will take part in the. I will not take part in the discussion or voting. Any other?
And I've got to declare an interest in Friends of Kirby Area School.
Councillor Weston?
Just an interest with, I'm on the board at the Carter's Beach, board. Well, so far, I didn't have any.
I don't believe being just a council representative on the committee should absolve you from any other further conflicts of interest.
Yeah, I'm on the woman and wife domain. Yeah, councillor for that too as well.
Councillor Webb?
Just for one of the accountability reports that I obviously work at Sacred Heart, but just to note that application was made before I was on council.
Any further conflicts of interest?
Can I just ask how Councillor Sampson and Councillor O'Keefe will manage their interests?
Sorry?
How will you manage your interest?
Oh, I just won't take any part in discussion.
Just under one annual item.
So how do you manage it?
I just won't be involved in the discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor.
And
Yeah. Okay, so I'll move that we resolve that the members of the Community Environment and Service Committee disclose any financial and non-financial interest in any of the agenda items as mentioned. So move, can I second it? And all those in favour? Anyone against? Passed unanimously. We'll move on to confirmation of the previous minutes. So that's the Wednesday, the 16th of August 2023. Is there any corrections to those minutes? Open up the discussion to anything arising from those minutes. Can I have someone move that the Community Environment and Service Committee receive and confirm the minutes of the meeting of 16th of August 2023? Councillor Reedy, seconded Councillor Simpson. All those in favour? That's all in favour. Now, I'd just like to move that we swap to agenda items. If we just swap agenda items 4 and 5, that just allows me to continue my chairmanship before handing over to Councillor Sampson. Could I have a seconder for that? Then all those in favour? Yes. Okay, so we'll just move on to the chair's report on page 20, and I'll just open it for discussion or questions. All right, can we have someone move that the report be received for discussion information? Councillor Weston, seconded. All those in favour? Unanimous. Okay. Now we'll just move on to agenda item number 4, and I'll hand the chair over to Councillor Sampson.
Okay, welcome. So we'll start on item 4, page 17, with the appointments for the Seddonville Reserve and Hall Committee. We've got 3 new appointments there. Because they have come since the election, and it's very good to see we've got people wanting to come on board. So if I could have a mover for those. 4, beg your pardon, 4 people. I can't count. So Councillor Phillips moved, Councillor Reedy seconded. All those in favour? Right, moved.
Just a quick question. I thought Councillor O'Keefe was already on there.
No, I am the representative there, so she is going on as a member, which therefore I don't have to disclose an interest when something comes up about the Seddonville board, but she will. Yeah.
So just for completeness, have you written something to resign?
No.
I
don't need to, I'm still there as a representative and as a council rep on the board, and Tony's going on as a person in her own right. As a community member.
That's fine, I have no objection,
Pardon?
I have no objection, I just think that's unusual.
Oh, Councillor O'Keefe. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I'll just speak to that. So just with the whole allocations, and Seddonville already needed some support. There's not many people out there, and I just live down the road. It just seemed pretty smart that I just jumped on board there and assisted, because I know them all. So that means that everyone stays in their roles, and I'm just coming on as a layman.
Cool, that's fine.
Okay. Oh,
I did just check out the terms of reference that was allowed, and it's totally acceptable under the terms of reference, and I just think there may be times when you've got to make clear and what your role is if you should be speaking at council.
moving on to item 6, page 22, the community grants funding applications. We have workshopped these, and we have got 2 applications here, number 5 and 6, that were Carter's Beach. And after some discussion, they fell into revitalisation as a better place for them to be. So if it's all in agreement, they move over to the revitalisation. So you, I'm happy to move that way. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Reedy, all those in favour? We are just taking 2 number 5 and number 6 Carter's Beach applications from community grants and transferring them over to revitalisation, because that's where they sit better. It's the reserve board. So the motion has been passed. Do you want to speak on it?
It's been moved and seconded.
It's moved and seconded, and I asked all in favour, and everybody other than Graham were in favour.
Okay. Not sure about councillor Reid, did she indicate?
Oh, sorry, did you indicate? Yep. So now I'll open up the grants. We have had a workshop on them, and I'll open up for any further discussion that anybody has on that. Yeah, councillor Farley.
I was not at the workshop, so I wasn't sure what had been discussed, but what's the feeling about the digital future Aotearoa?
Sorry?
What's the feeling on the digital future Aotearoa application?
There was quite a lot of discussion on that, and it wasn't favoured, and there wasn't a lot of agreement that it was a organisation with a lot of funding, and it wasn't seen that it was going to be very beneficial to this community.
Why not?
For the reasons I just said. That
Just comparing it to something like the Westport Men's Shed, which helps give typically older people skills, and they have like 20 members. The digital future Aotearoa would help teach kids, you know, useful skills that they could go on to use in their careers, and probably affect more than 20 people.
Well, reading through the application, it didn't give clear indication that that was going to benefit. They weren't here yet, and it was a maybe, and they had substantial funding within their bank accounts.
Definitely won't be here with no funding. So we're saying that they will never be part of Mbulla if we don't include them in any funding applications.
What a lot of discussion was there. So I'll go through one by one and see what the views are, but before I do that, Councillor Naylor.
Yes, Madam Chair, can you just explain to me what actually happened at the workshop and what was listed from 1 to 17, how that came about, and what's happened to all the other applicants that put in application?
Well, at the workshop, we'd all read the applications fully, and we discussed all through the 4 pros and cons of the applications, the amount of benefit they would have from the community, how much volunteer work went into each of those, and it was all each on their merit. different councillors had different views on different things, and we came to a consensus of where we came in as to those decisions.
So the 1 to 17 is what?
1 to 17, I'll go right through them.
Yeah, but what are they? Are they the favourite ones or?
1 to 17, it's only 1 to 16. It's only 16 applications. Yeah, that's all the applications that were there, 17. And I'll go through as to what was declined and what.
So maybe I can explain it a little bit better. So my understanding is this paper includes all of the applications, including the ones that the workshop had thought were less likely to be supported. So they're all there for proper debate today. So there is nothing to stop any councillor, questioning the workshop outcome. The information that the workshop made its discussion on is all in front of everyone now as well.
I just don't see the name of who it is whole subcommittee.
That's on the second one through the chair. That's on agenda item 7.
This is not undergrants, that's revitalisation. Okay. Councillor Grafton.
Yeah, so I suppose, so page 105 is what we decided to, wasn't it? In the red, yellow and green on the right hand side from the workshop. Yeah. And on our decisions, we was partially followed.
I'll hand over to.
If I could just, there was no decisions made in the workshop, there were some recommendations made for this meeting. So there was discussion around the table at the grants workshop. The recommendations that you have are what was put through from them. However, today's decision making is to further discuss and question any of those recommendations. So we can absolutely go through those. The idea was to go through line by line, and with the resolution on the table and now passed, that means that those 2, 5 and 6 for Carter's Beach Ward moved over to the Revitalisation Fund.
So I'm happy, I'll go through all the applications as what the discussion ended up with, and I'll ask for a recommendation at the end. So first application was Fuller Citizens Advice, and they were looking for heating and maintenance. I've got my wrong page there. For the rent for the clock tower, which they rent from the council. So they were seeking funding to what they pay back to council. So after discussion, it came to light that the full amount was to be given to that group. Number 2 was a Buller Marathon. They were, it's a new working group that's just been established, and they were looking for 13,000. After our discussion, 5,000 was recommended. Buller Gymnastics Group, number 3, applied for coaches and training for training for the coaches. They applied for 4,180, and that full amount was recommended. Fuller we're looking at $1,050 for a program for mental health, with a lot of discussion. They seem to have funding plenty for that, and that was declined. As I said, for 5 and 6, the Carter's Beach has been transferred to revitalisation. The digital future was declined from just what I've said previously. I do have a conflict here, but that was declined. Friends of North School asked for 4,000 for maintenance and upkeep on some of their play area. 2,000 was agreed upon. Ananga AMP show applied for funds for their rental of the lease, for the hiring of the grounds of $1,950. That was fully agreed. The Kaitaki Mokanui is a group that we've given to for many years, and it's just for a maintenance that they do, cleaning up the Chasm Creek walkway, keeping it tidy, and that was for $800, and that was fully supported. Northern Bully Yoga Group, it was well discussed, and the fact that it was an adult group, it was seen that their fees could have gone up rather than be supported by ourselves, by the grants, so that was declined. The Pahutakaua Trust for their administration and running costs for $5,000 was fully agreed. Toria Gallery, to put lighting in a small room out the back, was fully supported. And the men's shed, again for administration, phone, etc., was fully supported at $2,500. And the Whineiti Outdoors for $2,000, again, is an outside group, very well funded, and a very healthy bank balance was declined. So, yep. So this is the first of two rounds. The budget was $75,000, and if everybody's in agreement with that, that comes to $35,447.47, if I am correct. So, yes.
So the 75, it's in total budget for the financial year, and then it says that this is the first of two funding rounds. So
Yep.
saying this is 75 or 37.5?
37.5. 75 is an annual budget over two rounds.
What would usually happen, we have the two funding rounds. It doesn't mean that you have to split it down the middle, completely councillor's decision. But usually we like to leave some of it for the second round. So as it's been done at the moment, it's almost 50-50.
Yeah.
But if councillors wish to discuss that any further and have other decisions today, that's your call.
So I'll open up for any further discussion on. Yep.
I won't be voting in favour of it just because I think it's a real shame to leave out the digital future Aotearoa. I think it would be a good way to support our youth, and it goes hand in hand with the waste management plan to recycle materials. So I think that's a real missed opportunity.
Oh, thank you for that. But as I said, it was well discussed.
Do you want to open it up for another vote though?
Councillor Grafton.
Yeah, in hindsight, I would be happy to revisit that one for some sort of contribution, not necessarily full, but at least partial.
Right, with all the documentation I've got there, does somebody want to put a recommendation forward or an amount for that amount?
I'd like to suggest $5,000 going towards it.
How?
5,000.
5,000? For which one? Councillor.
Sorry, through the chair, it just says here, how many people will it benefit? It says at least 15, and they're wanting 10,000. So if you look at everyone else's, the amount of people that they're actually helping and the amount they're asking, that's quite a lot of money they're asking for only that amount of people.
Okay, so you have moved it and
seconded.
Grant seconded.
Can I just make a comment? I guess there's two options here. If there's changes, is that the council agreed to spend more than 35, so more than half of the 75, whatever it is we've got for the year, or you choose to reduce one of the other ones that people thought would be funded. Just commenting on that.
Well, I'll deal with this one first, and I've got a mover and seconder, and councillor Reading.
Thank you, Chair, for discussion.
Just, I've got a mover and seconder, so yeah, just.
For discussion.
Yeah.
Regarding the additional future ATRO, we're talking about recycling here, aren't we?
Sort of.
Is that right? Now, the recycling, my understanding is it's a national initiative. I understand that Smart Environmental at the moment are organising areas for, if you like, digital recycling, printers, computers, everything. Right? So I'm at a bit of a loss as to why, given that there's already initiatives out there, why we are looking at giving money to a group who are basically replicating what is already out in the, sorry through the chair, what is already out in the community. Can I answer that?
Yeah, you've got the line. So the project is to help teach people how to restore the devices so that they can then be used. So it's not stripping the wires out to reuse them for something else. It's recycling and developing the skills to reuse something. So it's like helping people to learn digital skills, which they could gives them transferable skills that they could use for other things.
Right, final one.
Can I just add further to that? So my understanding of this would be, and I don't know the program per se, but it would be, isn't it repurposing second-hand electronic equipment and then running some kind of bridges? So they're talking about bridging the gap. So this might fill a gap in people who can't afford a new phone or a new laptop or whatever, that they can get a refurbished one and be taught how to use it as well. So
that's my understanding.
That's how it reads to me.
Okay, I'm going to put that to the vote as who's in favour of extending that to 5,000 for the digital future Aotearoa.
1,
2, 3, 4.
Sorry,
4.
4.
For those in favour, those against.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can see that.
Oh, and
you've got that 5 against.
Was it? Did you get Linda?
That's including. That's 5 against. So 4 for, 5 against. It's total of 9.
So,
yeah, I've got Linda there. Yeah.
So the motion is lost.
Declined, yeah.
So I'll put forward. I'll recommend that as read out that those allocations go to each of those groups. Do I have a seconder?
Just on that, will we one person, will we one short there?
1, 2, 3, 4,
Andrew.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 voters.
Or is only 9
4,
voters?
4. There's only 9 voters today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry.
Linda.
Counting Linda.
Do you know?
1, 2.
Oh, Brandon.
Oh, okay. So then that's a tie.
No,
No, is it?
one didn't vote. It's 4, 5. Still 5.
Yeah,
It's 9, so 4, 5.
4,
Yeah,
5.
so it is declined.
So the motion is lost. And I have the motion on the table that the rest be moved what was read out previously. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Reedy, all those in favour? And Graham, you abstaining?
Yep.
Right.
I'm not happy voting for it.
If you can just notify the chair if you're abstaining so we know who to count, please, Councillor Naylor. Thank you. Thank you. So that
I'm
was
not
how
happy,
many?
Madam Chair, that these decisions have been made in a workshop. Today we've got a live feed, so some of these applicants can actually see what happens, to their application. In a workshop, we've had no live feed, as I understand. I don't attend, and I think, given the publicity that we've had lately about decisions being made at non-public workshop, and I think this is just not on. So I'm not taking any part.
I hear what you're saying. but we had very full discussion, and I understand I'll pass over to our manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been discussion, Graham, that we do want to make these workshops publicly available. So that's a piece of work we're working on in the background, and grants workshops moving forward will be fully available to the public, noting that it is discussion and recommendations made, not full decisions.
So finally,
Councillor Reedy.
Oh, Councillor Reedy. Oh, I didn't see.
I'll pass the motion, Madam Chair, that I speak. Thank you. I understand what Councillor Loudon is coming from, but November's time last year, there was a decision after what we're talking about now, soon after the meeting last year, that because there appeared to be not a lot of appetite for this particular agenda type item, that we would take it into workshop, so that those who had an active interest in this particular item could partake in the workshop, have agreement, and then bring it back to council for full discussion. Now, full discussion means that for me, members around the table would have read all this and brought up discussion items, just like Councillor Farrell has been outvoted. Now, it's all very well bringing something that came out 2 weeks ago from the Parliamentary Ombudsman, Peter Bosher, but this was agreed upon. We're all aware of the fact about workshops, but this was agreed upon almost 12 months ago, that this would go into workshop at the moment. Chrissy has now said that we are aware that we want to open the workshops. I understand where the council is coming from, but we have an agreement. All of us agreed that this would go into a workshop, and that's what we're talking about now, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I presume, Madam Chair, that I can see a council resolution to that effect.
Sorry, through the chair. What are you seeking a resolution for? Sorry, Councillor?
That we all agreed that the workshop, that decisions would be made in the workshop. Obviously, we take a council resolution for something like that to be done. I'm just wondering what minutes I need to look up to actually see that resolution.
No decisions to be made in workshops. That's quite a descriptive of the workshops, Councillor. So it was just that we were able to have that open discussion about what grants may or may not have favour of council, and then it was to come back as a recommendation to CESC, so there could be a full discussion around it, and then the decision to be made in this committee.
Yeah, I guess what's concerning me is a number of speakers today have talked about the decisions we made in the workshop, which doesn't tell me that you were making recommendations, that you were making decisions.
Councillor Farnham, then.
Just a quick question, was the workshop public or publicly excluded?
It wasn't public excluded, but it wasn't advertised, so it's sort of.
Open to the public but not advertised. Thank you.
Councillor Hatt, did you want to?
One of the reasons for workshopping it was if we had further questions, so we had time to go and explore them and get more information before they came up back to council for discussion and approval. So I think it extends the opportunity for those groups, you know, to get that information, to explore other avenues of funding, and to get a better decision-making process.
Right, and finally,
I'm a little bit unsure what the issue is. We have had an opportunity to raise any questions on any of the grants, as Councillor Farlett did, and they were debated and then voted on. So if there were concerns about the rest of the list or something else to be introduced, then the opportunity was there for any councillor to question the outcome of the workshop and seek a support of the fellow councillors. So there is nothing has been done behind closed doors in my view, other than a discussion.
thank you for that. That's exactly how I saw it. No, we have to move on because for anybody that's waiting for our next meeting, I apologise that we're running a little bit late. So I'll move on to item 7, page 109, and beg your pardon, I've got the wrong one, that's accountability. Yeah, that's it. Oh, that's right. Item 7, page 109, and that is accountability reports received from previous councillor grants. I'll open that up for discussion. Councillor.
Sorry, just one quick question around the accountability. Why are the names rubbed out?
Because it's protecting the name of the person that's put the application in, so they can't be redacted. Would somebody like to move the accountability reports be received? Councillor Reedy, seconded Councillor O'Keefe. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Item 8, page 143. This is the community-led revitalisation applications. Similarly, we workshop these and have discussion. So I'll read through what we
Decided.
Pardon?
Decided.
They're not my words. So the recommendations that sort of came through were that the Anangahua Reserve or Subcommittee be put aside till a full review can be done on what is actually needed. And the reason for that what was actually applied for was insulation and heat pumps, and within the same application it was saying to put both of those in place was probably contrary to the fact that they were going to be very effective because of the state of the building. So I understand a full report is being done on that building. The Nangahua Silver Band applied for to finish off some repairs and maintenance for $11,648.15. That was fully supported. Karamea Cemetery, which is the Eco Cemetery, asked for $3,750, and that was fully supported. Karamea Reserve, that is the domain for planting, $2,830.66 was fully supported. The Kaitiki Mokanui again, who have had funding for their bridges and just wanted more funding to as seed. That was $8,695.67. The Kawatiri Environment Group Connect wanted $8,560 for plantings, and there was a lot of discussion about where that was and what was going to be achieved. That was declined. The Bullis Cycling Club didn't really sort of fit into criteria as well as it could, because it was on private land and it was only a plan for the cycling, for an outdoors recreation centre. The Northern Bullis Society was for a pagoda replacement roof. It was fully supported at $1,396. And the Waimangaroa Domain Subcommittee, again for paint to finish off some work they've started, for $1,680 was fully supported. And then, like I said, that we moved previously, the Carter's Beach moved into that area, and it was $21,681.54 that Carter's Beach got for the acoustics and some renovations for their kitchens. So I'll open that up for discussion. Right, councillor Farge.
I thought the Polo Cycling Club project sounded really cool, and it would attract people to the region, and it would be really well used. But obviously you're saying that's on private land, and that might be a bit of an issue. So is there any direction we can give that group that we could support them? Like if because they were talking with the owners and signing over that, you know, the track will be used in the future, and if they sell it or whatever. Is there something more they can do for reassurance that that will be open to the public, that we can see that?
It wasn't our place, we didn't discuss that, but councillor Howard's got something to say.
Well, the revitalisation fund was really set up to ideally be council or definitely public land. It didn't stop someone for applying for other land tenure, but it had to be a extremely strong case, and it's really about something that's really accessible to the public. And I think in the discussion we talked about, it was quite a remote location, so we definitely support them in other funding avenues, but we just didn't think it fitted within the revitalisation fund. You know, at the initial conception, it was sort of thought about, you know, council reserves and the main streets, and that was the from previous council sort of the why the fund came about.
Have you been to Mokanui during summer? To the campground? It is packed, and so many people would use that track. So to say it's not accessible, I don't really agree with that, because so many people would use it.
Councillor O'Keefe.
So it's not on Mokanui site, it's on the Germany site. It's a privately owned camping ground.
Yeah.
So even though I actually live there, so I definitely support it, but it's just for plans for the fitness. So it's a lot of money, you know, and it is, it's hard for me because it's in my area, but it's a lot of money just sink into some plans, and it's private campground will see a lot of benefit from that as well. I suppose it's not really public. It's not like the Mokanui council owned one. Sorry, guys.
I just
I think that's been fairly well discussed. Now, does anybody after thought want any of those amounts changed? If not, I'll move that the amounts as read, I'll move that they be accepted, the amounts as read. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Grafton. All those in favour? Against? So you've abstained again, Graham?
Yeah, I'm not voting, I told you I'm not taking the vote on this, Bruce.
Right, so
strongly to the fact that how it's been done, and I'm just not going to be voting.
moving on, item 9, the revitalisation accountability. I take that as read by everybody. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Farlett, seconder. Councillor O'Keefe. All those in favour? Right, thank you. So I'll pass back over to Joe to come together what we're going to report back on public forum. So thank you.
We've had 4 speak to public forum. So our response is firstly to Scott Freeman, who presented on People 3 Pepperoa. And I don't think he asked anything specifically, it was sort of in principle support for the project. Would everyone be quite happy? I would just send a letter thanking him for it and saying that that we support his
I agree, yes.
The second one is the Community Hub Group. They were basically just bringing us up to date with their project and making us distributing an update and also letting us know that the information will be presented on the council website, so for public information. So is everyone happy? I'll just respond, thinking before.
Can I ask a comment on that? Yes. I heard you mention the council website. My understanding is they are developing their own website for that. I could be corrected on that.
I'll just, Myra, will have a response to that?
Yeah, so we have com staff has worked with the group over the last week to develop a page. So currently we have your council similar things featured like MTFJ, so it's council supported projects. And this is would be a very quick way to feature the sufficient information we work on FAQs on in an online environment. And then later on, they will eventually move into launching a website. However, there's quite a bit involved in launching a website, an own website, as well as money invested to make it work. So creating a page on the council's website is a very, very immediate way to inform the public around that. And it's very resource efficient. So that will go live in this week, and obviously the more the project moves on, they might consider our avenues, and usually if it is a reality, we'll have their own online presence.
So it's part of our council and the community development support, and that we would do that for a number of bodies to like we might circulate like Christmas parade or something like that. So we do what we can to support the community. So response, I'll just thank them for your public forum. Is there any further comment?
I'm happy with that annual response.
Our third speaker, she had a number of questions. Why do we need a community hub? Where located? What will it do for Westport? What will it cost to open? The cost of ratepayers? Who will run it? There was one about why getting more money from free water. Most of these are actually answers in the response that we've got from the community hub. I can direct it to that information. I can provide the material the councillors were provided. I can send those on to her, the copies. The why getting more waters funding, that can be just responded to the decision at council. I think most of that was answered. Is there any further response?
No, I suppose it was just really back to, I suppose, with the district council improving their comms with the public as well. She was just saying about how we get information out. Yeah.
A lot of this is probably actually the responsibility of the community group rather than council. And I think they've endeavoured to get this communication out through hopefully a media release and other things. So yeah, recognise. So a little bit of the hours, but most of it's actually responsible for this group, and I'll pass those questions on to them. They may wish to add further comment.
She was also not that happy with the coverage of the Westport News in terms of the detail and how that was interpreted.
I will forward those comments on to the Westport News for them to respond. Thank you. And the final speaker was Kevin Smith, asking for support around the 150th celebration. Response? Councillors working with Rotary, possibly.
Was he aware that it's actually a council 150th, not the town's 150th? That's my question.
Councillor Reid?
I believe you mentioned that the first meeting was in 1873, so whether it's not community, that it is council, and that was celebrating the, if you like, the inauguration of Bullen as a, or Westport, sorry, I think it would have been back then, Westport as a borough. So that's what he's looking at recognising.
Okay.
And then, of course, back in the day, this area was part of Nelson, which is why we celebrate Nelson anniversary day. I'm sorry, I'm digressing. That's why we celebrated that at that time. But he is aware that, and I heard him say, it was definitely 1873 that Westport Borough was created by the executive.
I got the impression that it didn't particularly want a budget or a whole lot of money spent on it, but so we've got we've agreed to work with Rotary, and as late as this week, we've had a conversation with them around supporting some of the advertising to better promote the 150th element of the Christmas parade, which is on the 9th, on the 9th, I think. So to the tune of a few $100, $300, $400, $500 or something. So
I think I'll respond as noting his coming to speak at the forum, and that we have been working with Rotary around the celebrations of the 150th year, and we're looking to support them further with advertising support. Just knowing that ample opportunities for people to apply for funding, and we have no applications. It's probably a bit late in 2023 now to start up an additional promotion. So I'll respond to that. Okay. So, resolve that the Community Environment Service Committee received the correspondence for information, and that, oh, that's it, yeah. Okay, so there being no further business, the meeting concludes at 3:59, and the next meeting will be to be advised. So, move that the meeting be closed.
Yes.
Already.
No, we don't need to do that. Yep, done. Thank you.
Done. Thank you, everyone.
Well done, Joe, and well done, Rosie.
Yeah, good job. Well done.
Do the councillors have 5 minutes before that?
Okay, just do a internet link.
Yeah. Jamie, are you happy with 5 minutes before RAC starts, just so we can get everyone in their new positions?
I mean, yep, the chair was here, she's gone to the powder room.
Yes, I've got them. Have you got all those positions? I will get it from Mira, so yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you, ladies.